Welcome back, folks. A surprise second drop in just a few days. Your favorite show covering the true crime headlines from all over the country and even a few world headlines. Today's topics include an Oregon woman. She had a chilling text message to her friend that actually came true as a roommate is convicted in her brutal murder. In California, a man who a decade ago went viral for being considered the world's hottest felon goes on a podcast to discuss his life sentence. In Texas, a man is arrested for throwing a bucket full of human remains over the FBI's Dallas fence.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's not where you want to throw them.
That's the polar opposite.
The polar opposite, as Seinfeld would say.
Yeah.
In Utah, a mother is arrested for kidnapping her son's bully. In Iowa, a woman is charged in a 15-year cold case involving the murder of a realtor. Yeah, that's an interesting one, trending all over the place. These stories and so much more headed your way today. I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Kelly Jennings.
And how about that? 2 drops in 2 weekdays.
We've lost our minds.
In a row.
We have lost our minds.
We're giving people what they want when they want it.
That's right. Have it your way.
So y'all let us know what you think about this. Go on wherever. You can go on Kelly's Unspeakable page. It's pretty active. And let us know what you think about several drops in a week. It's something we're considering doing. We've gotten a lot of messages on, man, we want to hear more crime news.
And I'm always down to talk about it.
Yeah, same.
So, let's go.
Same. So let's do it. All right, we're going to Oregon City, Oregon for this first story. And the county is interesting. The name of the county in this case, it's Clackamas.
Clackamas?
Clackamas County, Oregon. And I'll tell you what, that rolls right off the tongue. Clackamas County, Oregon. That's right. Well, we're going to tell you about a jury that convicted a man in that county of murdering his landlord after she sent a friend a terrifying text weeks earlier warning that her roommate might try to kill her.
Oh.
It was a prophecy that came true when he beat her to death with a hammer and later burned her body in a backyard shed. Bobby Lee Grady Alsop the third. And that's a mouthful. 33 years old, was convicted Tuesday of second-degree murder in the death of 31-year-old Kaylee Ann Snow. The jury also convicted him of first-degree arson, first-degree theft, first-degree abuse of a corpse, and unlawful use of a weapon after deliberating less than 4 hours. Now, in February of 2024, Snow texted a friend about Alsop, who recently moved into her southwest Flavel Drive home. This was in an unincorporated part of Clackamas County as a renter. Quote, "I think this dude staying here might try to kill me. And I'm not afraid to die, just afraid of nobody knowing who it was." How about that for sending the text and it actually happens?
Yeah.
On March 17th, 2024, prosecutors said Alsop struck Snow twice in the head with a hammer inside of the home, wrapped her body in a blanket, and hid it in a shed on the property, leaving it to decompose for days. On March 21st, Alsop returned, doused the shed with gasoline, and set it on fire in an attempt to destroy evidence. Firefighters discovered Snow's charred and decomposing remains while extinguishing the blaze. The pair had been involved in a secret romantic relationship, according to court testimony. Prosecutors said Alsop also tried to create a false alibi by texting Snow's phone after her death, texting from her phone, and that happens a lot.
Yeah.
He also sold some of her belongings online, and Snow's blood was later found on his clothing. A medical examiner ruled the death a homicide caused by blunt force trauma. I'm sure that wasn't hard to figure out. Also faces life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years, which is kind of shocking. He's scheduled to be sentenced upcoming next month, and the case has gripped the Portland metro area, with Snow's text messages playing a central role in the trial. Members remembered this young lady as a vibrant, kind, and outgoing young lady with tons of friends.
So to make sure I understand this right, he was her landlord, but then turned secret lover? Am I understanding that right?
Yes. No, he was not her landlord. Well, she was his landlord, but what happened was she basically put an ad out that said, I need a roommate.
Oh,
he
roommate.
answered the ad.
I got it.
And she got, I guess at some point, she got like a premonition of the future with him and texted her friend that text that I read you, and all that shit came true.
You know what? I'm not that surprised. I'm really not, because you know in your gut when something's not right. You know it. And a lot of times we'll try to ignore that for some reason. We don't believe it'll ever happen. No one ever thinks it would happen to them, or we would not be there, right? And crime wouldn't happen like this. She knew that there was a problem. Unfortunately, I guess she stayed around too long.
Yeah.
And golly, he's violent.
Yeah.
My
horrible.
Word. Yeah. All right, let's go to Los Angeles. Now, Jeremy Meeks, you may know that name. I know that name. He was the convicted felon whose strikingly handsome 2014 mugshot earned him the nickname Hot Felon and launched an unlikely modeling career.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but before you go any further, I want to let everybody know it wasn't me.
It wasn't you, Jim. No.
I've never been a felon.
No. Oh, my God.
How you like that? How you like
Oh, my God.
I just want to make everybody clear.
Just
I'm talking about
everybody
different guy.
Calm down. It wasn't him.
You may proceed.
Thank you. All right. It earned him, the mugshot earned him the name Hot Felon and launched an unlikely modeling career, has revealed a bizarre downside of his sudden internet fame. Obsessive fans kept his family from visiting him behind bars by snapping up his limited weekly visitor passes. That's weird.
Yeah.
I find that bizarre. Okay. Now, Meeks, who is now 42, shared the frustrating experience during a recent appearance on Matthew Cox's Inside True Crime. And I have to stop real quick. My best friend's husband's name is Matthew Cox, so that's weird.
And that's actually a very good podcast.
Yeah, but that's just weird.
Shout out Matthew Cox.
I wasn't quite paying attention the first time I looked at this, and I'm like, wait, what? My best friend got a podcast. All right. Anyway, but he was on this podcast recounting his time in Sacramento County Jail after his arrest in a Stockton, California gang sweep. At the time, inmates were allotted just 2 visitor passes per week. After Meeks' mugshot, featuring his piercing blue eyes and chiseled features, it went viral on social media and was picked up by national outlets. He was flooded with hundreds of fan letters a day, many containing nude photos, and even money orders from admirers across the country. But the real problem, Meeks said, was when complete strangers began claiming those precious visitation slots. I'm getting random people visiting me, and I'm denying them before I even walk up the stairs into the section, and I'm like, I don't know who that person is, Meeks recalled. And they were like, well, I'm still taking your visit. You can deny it, but I'm still going to take your visit for the week. So now my family can't come because I've got that's his words. I've got fucking random people coming to see me, and it was so frustrating. He said he would plead with the unannounced visitors, including one woman who drove from Tennessee with her young son, not to return so his wife, children, and mother could see him. Even when he turned them away at the door, jail staff still counted the visit against his weekly allowance, blocking legitimate family visits. The overwhelming attention also reportedly drew extra scrutiny from correctional officers, adding to the stress of his incarceration. Meeks was arrested in 2014 on federal charges that included being a felon in possession of a firearm. His mugshot, widely shared online and dubbed Prison Bay and Blue-Eyed Bandit.
Prison Bay.
Yeah. Listen, I got to tell you something. As a woman with ovaries and eyes, I get it. Because this guy is extremely handsome. And then he's got the bad boy edge going on. Even though I don't support gang violence, his picture is pretty. I'm sorry, Jim. It is. But anyway, he was the Prison Bay.
I don't mean my picture ain't pretty good.
And Blue-Eyed Bandit. It turned him into an
There could be more than one.
There could be more than one of them. There's room for everybody. They turned him into an overnight sensation while he was still locked up. After his release, Meeks transitioned into modeling, walking runways for major fashion brands, and building a new life far from his criminal past. He has previously spoken about how the viral fame helped him leave that world behind, though now he said the attention came with an unexpected cost, even inside the jail.
Yeah, I mean, cry me a river, dude. Like, he's whining because he's getting, love letters and nude pictures sent to him in jail. What the hell?
Okay, well, he had a wife.
Poor baby.
He loved his wife, though. He wanted to visit her and his son. Okay, look, let me talk.
That's so sweet.
Let me talk. let me tell you, when I taught criminal justice, we all know that, okay? When I would get into my corrections portion, I specifically used this mugshot. And my students, former students can vouch for this. And I would pop it up on the screen. And as the girls would come in that day, they'd be like, ooh, who's that? Who is that? And it was exactly what I wanted, because the lesson would be about, you're going to have all walks of life that come into a prison, and you have to remain professional, even if they're smoking hot. You can't do any favors. You got to just keep on keeping on. But yeah, I remember his mugshot very well, and we've got it up on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're watching this on Patreon, you'll see it. Look, I want to say too, one thing that was interesting, stood out to me in that article, is he mentioned the list of visitors and that it would get kind of bogged down to where his family couldn't even come see him. But he would have to approve that list.
I don't think so. I
mean, they can't just show up to visit him. They have to be on a list, right? And doesn't he have to say, I don't want to see this person, or I do?
No. So again, different jails and have different strokes. Now this says jail, not prison. So just a quick lesson. Prison, you have to have an approved list. They're going to vet the list and make sure it's not one of your victims or coming to visit you or something, or one of your, fall partners or gang members that got out or something like that. But in jail, from what I've seen, experienced, may or may not allegedly have had friends there. You can go online on these new systems and they'll block out. He's got a visitation open this time. And all you do is you go online and you schedule a visit. Gotcha. So, what happened, I can promise you, is they didn't expect this to happen. This is a very rare thing. No one's usually just showing up randomly to visit a stranger in jail.
Right.
But his hotness overloadeth, and the ladies were looking for stepdaddies for their kids and showing up.
Yeah.
So things may have changed since that occurred, so don't hold me to it if you're working in a jail. Obviously, systems and practices change, but I would assume that is what happened there.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that insight. We'll move on to West Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you about a 15-year-old cold case. So this nearly 15 years after a young real estate agent was gunned down while hosting an open house, authorities have arrested a woman and charged her with first-degree murder in one of Iowa's most haunting unsolved killings. Kristen Elizabeth Ramsey, 53, was indicted by a Dallas County grand jury and arrested on Tuesday, March 17th of 2026, and she's being held in jail on a $2 million cash-only bond. On April 8th of 2011, Ashley Oakland, a realtor with Iowa Realty, was conducting an open house at a model home in a Stone Creek development when she was fatally shot twice. An employee of Rotland Homes, which was the builder of this complex, discovered her body inside the unit around 2 p.m. and called 911. Oakland was pronounced dead at a local hospital. At the time of the murder, Ramsey worked as a sales manager for that Rotland Homes, and she was actually in that area of that townhome when Oakland was killed. West Des Moines, Iowa Assistant Police Chief Jody Hayes said the case had haunted investigators and the real estate community for more than 14 years. Quote, Ashley's story has kept us awake at night, revisiting details over and over in our mind. The slaying actually prompted widespread safety changes for realtors all across Iowa, including new protocols for open houses and showings. Oakland's sister, Brittany Bruce, she spoke emotionally about the long wait for justice, saying that Friday afternoon when Ashley was taken from us, it seemed so long ago. We had lost hope in finding answers and having any justice for Ashley. It was really difficult to accept the case had gone cold. She called the breakthrough a true gift from God. Now, police and prosecutors have declined to release a possible motive or details about what led to Ramsey's arrest, and they cited, the case is still active, right. Ongoing prosecution. No other arrests are expected. Ramsey's attorney said she adamantly maintains her innocence and has filed some motions to reduce her bond. The case drew national attention when it happens and remains one of Iowa's most notorious cold cases until this week. Oakland's family honored her memory by helping establish a special needs playground in the park in that community. And so there you have it. 15 years. And I can only think DNA had something to do with this.
I bet cell phones did. I bet cell phones
Well, you would
did.
think it wouldn't take 15. You'd think that would have been one of the first things they checked.
Well, yeah, but they would have to know. They would have to know whose cell phone to look at. I mean, obviously, they could look at the deceased realtor's cell phones, but if this was some surprise attack over jealousy or something like that, I mean, they wouldn't know, whose phone to look at to see if they were in proximity of each other. But first of all, I was struck. I liked what they did in her memory, that they put up a special needs. What a beautiful thing to do. She must have had either a close relationship or something where that was special to her. And I think that's wonderful. I love when people try to make something positive out of a tragedy here. But I can tell you, my mom, my mother worked for Louisiana Real Estate Commission Appraisers Board and for over 30-something years. And you would be shocked at the issues and the dangers that realtors do face just in everyday business dealings.
Well,
you're showing
that's
up.
right.
You're showing up to a house. Sometimes you're like, if you're a single female and you're going to show a house to and I'm just saying a gentleman. It could be anybody, but you're alone. You're going into a house alone.
A lot of times you are, and this was a open house, so that's a situation where that realtor's there all day. Now, fortunately, in a lot of cases, these realtors have really come around in the last 15 years to realizing the danger of this. So when they host these open houses, they'll usually have like a lending agent there as well, maybe an appraiser there as well. They'll have several. It's almost like some sort of party over there. They'll have food and they'll have several of their supporters in that industry with them. And that's a great thing because, there's a lot of danger to sitting in a house. And look, when you're a realtor, you have your face plastered everywhere, all your listings, and usually it's your best headshot, right?
And your phone number.
It's an eye catcher. And I've seen a lot of pretty realtors in my time. And so someone that has nefarious intent, they're going to see that, and if they see you doing an open house, you're taking a risk.
All they have to do, literally, think this through how scary. All they have to do is dial your number, see what you have listed, and say, hey, I'd like to look at this home. And then they're going to put themselves on a platter. Okay, great. At 3:00, I will meet you at this address where no one lives, and we'll walk through a home together.
Right.
Like, it sounds kind of crazy like that. But I want to quickly tell you, there was a big story that I was very interested in years and years and years ago. I actually saw it on Forensic Files, if you're interested to go search it out. But this woman went up to show a house, and as she was walking up, just the way the man was sitting in his vehicle waiting for her, it struck a nerve in her, and her gut, she went with it. And so she went back to her car and dialed her husband and said, something's just not right here. Will you come up here with me? And her husband said, absolutely, babe, I'm on the way. So her husband shows up. Well, when he shows up and they walk up to the house together, the guy that was supposed to be seeing that house drove off. Well, as the story goes, another realtor was murdered shortly thereafter. And what it was that same guy, he had set up that woman saved her own life by calling her husband.
Yeah.
And the next realtor, unfortunately, didn't have that opportunity, and she was murdered. So, hey, shout out. Every job has dangers that you would never think about. So
Right.
be careful.
Yep.
Be careful. All right, now we're going to go to Provo, Utah. A 40-year-old Provo woman faces 2 felony charges after authorities say she tracked down an 11-year-old boy she claimed was bullying her autistic son, forced him into her vehicle, and drove him to her home to demand an apology. And then she allegedly threatened him before letting him go. Shannon, and I believe you would say Tafuga. Have you ever heard that last name before? Because I've heard a lot of names in my time, but I've never heard Tafuga. That's interesting. All right, Shannon Tafuga was charged Monday in 4th District Court with child kidnapping and aggravated child abuse. Both counts are second-degree felonies. A summons has been issued, however, as of this report, and she has not been taken into custody. According to the charges, or the document charges, the incident happened September 17th, and Tafuga told investigators she had been driving around looking for the boy after he allegedly bullied her son. When she spotted him riding his bicycle in a neighborhood near Orem, she stopped her vehicle directly in front of his bike and ordered him to get inside. I'd say that was a poor decision-making issue right there. So she drove the boy to her home in Provo without his parents' knowledge or permission. Once there, she made him apologize to her child. After the apology, Tafuga allegedly told the boy that she would have her husband, quote-unquote, beat him up, and said he was, quote, lucky she did not run over his bike. She then drove him back to his neighborhood. Prosecutors say the 11-year-old victim was left terrified. He now suffers from severe anxiety and has to significantly alter his daily routines because of the ordeal. Tafuga's attorney has not yet commented publicly on the charges. The Utah County Attorney's Office reduced the original felony classifications in the interests of justice. The case has drawn national attention and sparked heated online debate, with some expressing sympathy for a parent trying to protect a child with autism, while others condemned what they called a dangerous and illegal vigilante response to bullying.
Yeah, and look, nobody likes a bully. And as parents, both of us are parents. I'm sure there's tons of parents listening to us right now. Your first instinct would be, I need to kidnap that boy and tell him, to tighten up and all of that sort of thing. But obviously, there's a difference between thinking that and actually acting out on it. You can't kidnap somebody else's kid, man, and discipline them. Go talk to the parents.
Right.
Have a talk with the parents and say, hey, you need to tighten your son up because he's bullying my child who has some issues.
Right. So I can actually give you firsthand experience of this exact situation with yours truly. So I am a very protective mama, okay? Uber protective. You have no...
all mamas are.
I know. And just like every mama out there, you have no concept of what people are willing to do when it comes to their children. It's ingrained in us. However, I'm also that protective of my niece and nephew. Well, when my nephew was a baby, I say a baby, he was about 9 years old.
Yeah, that's not a baby.
That is he is 20-something years old, and Landon, you are still
old.
My baby. I will put him in my lap and rock him if he needs. Anyway, all right, so he was about 9 years old, and he was getting bullied on the school bus. Now, it had even gotten to the extent that he got beat up by this kid on the school bus, all right? When I heard those words, I will tell you, I saw red. I went out-of-body experience, and I two-wheeled my SUV up into that neighborhood. Now, I did drive until I saw that kid, and I followed his little ass to his house, never touched the kid, never talked to the kid. Once he went inside, rolled right up in that driveway and banged on that door. And that mama got an earful from yours truly. And I even pointed over her shoulder at that little boy and I said, make the mistake again. It'll be the last thing you do. Now, was that probably the right thing to do? No. And I do not condone that behavior. But the difference here is that I didn't steal the child. You know what I'm saying? Against his parents' will. I just wanted to know which house he was at so that I could go talk to the parents. And that mama, to her credit, turned around and started in on that boy. And I think she knew. I think he had a history of it. But you cannot take someone else's child against their will.
No, obviously.
And, this is ridiculous.
Wrong decision. And there's a part of me that says I totally get why she would want to do it. But obviously, there's other ways of handling that.
I mean, take your son to the bully and say you will apologize to him. Worst case scenario. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't go.
Well, and I'll tell you, these are boys. You get tried. Mm-hmm. People try you. And when I was about that age, someone did. And I told my mom about it. My mom made me go outside and fight him.
Hell yeah, Mama Chapman.
Yeah, and that's really how I don't want to say that's how you should handle it, but back in those days, that's how you handle it. I whipped that ass and didn't nobody bully me after that ever again.
Well, I've always told
to this day, KJ.
I tried, y'all.
I whooped that ass, but I was scared. I'd never been in an actual fight before, and figured out. Old Chapman got some hands.
There you go, boy. There you go, boy. Well, I do. I teach my own children. You check people. I'm not saying go out there and fist fight somebody, but you check them because most bullies, if you check them once, even if it's verbally, it'll ease it up. Most. But she messed up here. Do I think that she's a threat to society? Nah.
I mean,
I think that
she reacted.
She lost control of her emotions and made a very poor decision.
That's what I think as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to someone else who makes a poor decision here, and it's in North Texas. A 41-year-old North Texas man is facing felony charges after authorities say he stole human remains from a Denton County cemetery, placed them in a white bucket, and hurled them over a security fence at the FBI Dallas field office. One of the biggest field offices in the country, mind you, for the FBI, all while filming the act for a YouTube video that he titled, quote, "We send Elizabeth over the FBI fence to summon them by force." Yeah, this is
you've got too much time on your hands.
this dude's a
That
nut.
poor woman. Oh my gosh.
So Michael Chadrick Fry of Bartonville in Denton County was arrested Wednesday after Bartonville police, with assistance from the FBI, executed a search warrant at his home. He remains in the Denton County jail, $30,000 bond. Now, the bizarre case began when Fry allegedly asked his mother for money to rent a U-Haul, telling her
His mother?
His mother.
Oh, my God.
He asked her for money to rent a U-Haul. She says, why? And he said, I have a body that I need to move. 100%.
Not a red flag.
So obviously she refuses. She calls police. Fry becomes irate and he leaves before officers arrive. His sister later contacted investigators and directed them to a YouTube video that Fry had posted. In that video, he's seen to be throwing the closed white bucket over the fence into the secure parking lot of the FBI Dallas field office. Fry referred to the contents as, quote, the remains of Elizabeth or Elizabeth Virginia Lyon, and claimed the stunt was intended to force federal agents to investigate what he thought was wrongdoing by local officials tied to one of his prior arrests. Well, that's the way to handle that.
Get their attention.
Yeah, so FBI agents confirmed to Bartonville police that the bucket did in fact contain human bones. Investigators also recovered another video from Fry's home that showed him holding a human skull with dirt, hair, and leaves still attached. Police believe the skull and the bones were thrown at the FBI facility. Those bones came from the same set of remains, which were allegedly stolen from a mausoleum at Oddfellows Cemetery in Denton. A damaged vault was later discovered at the site. Fry faces charges of abuses of a corpse without legal authority and tampering with physical evidence. Now, this guy, it may not surprise you, has an extensive criminal history in Denton County with more than 24 arrests dating back to 2003. And in 2018, he actually made headlines when he deliberately rammed a rented pickup truck into the side of a Fox News building in downtown Dallas. So this guy,
he's stable.
Yeah, I mean, he's got issues, man. Like, what are you doing?
All right, so
throwing it over the FBI field office fence.
That aside, this woman was obviously loved by somebody. You know what I mean? And you disturbed her final resting place, whoever this woman was. And I take total offense to that because it's so out of so out of the norm. And look, people do wild things, and I don't understand sometimes. So I went to a body farm in Texas. Have I ever told you about this?
No.
Like, I don't think
I'm sure you haven't told the listeners.
No, but I haven't told you before, have I? You don't know this story.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so I went to a body farm in Texas, and it was actually an anthropology.
Yeah, she told me about this.
So what happens here is that people donate their bodies to science, which I think is a very admirable thing because we can learn a lot, and it's a very thought out process that it's very regulated and very respectful, you know? Well, people got wind that this body farm was accessible, I guess, through the woods. And so what they would do, not to be too grotesque here, is but they would take bodies and do things to them that would be our typical criminal acts, like gunshot wounds or stab wounds. And then they would put these bodies out to learn about decomp and about animal activity. And they really were expanding on the field of entomology and, crime scene investigation. Well, some freaks went out there and took photographs of these bodies, which were in a secluded area, okay? They had to work to get these photos and then posted them online. You have to remember, these are real people with families, and so it became a huge ordeal, and they had to go and resecure and put special signs and things out there to say you are trespassing, and this is not something you can photograph just for your morbid curiosity.
Right.
This is beyond reprehensible to me.
Right.
You've now, was he involved with this woman, like in her death or something, to want to pull her body?
This is just a random person. They could have been from the 1800s. I mean, this wasn't anybody he knew.
Ew, I don't like that. No, thank you. All right, we're going to stay in Texas, though. A 54-year-old woman was found unresponsive during a private spa session at Foliage Hair Salon and Day Spa in the city's west side and later died at a hospital, according to authorities. El Paso police are investigating the death as a drowning. Officers responded to the salon after employees discovered the woman unresponsive during a routine wellness check while she was receiving services. First responders provided aid at the scene and transported her to a local hospital in critical condition where she was pronounced dead. The El Paso Police Department's Crimes Against Persons unit is leading the investigation and has classified the incident as a drowning. An autopsy has been ordered to determine the official cause and manner of death, and the woman's identity has not yet been released, pending notification to next of kin. Spa owner Laura Rayburn released a statement describing the event as a medical emergency. During a scheduled private spa session, our team conducted a routine wellness check and found the guest unresponsive. Emergency services were immediately contacted, and first responders arrived promptly to provide care before transporting her to a local hospital. Rayburn added that the business is fully cooperating with authorities. Out of respect for the family's privacy, we will not be sharing personal details about this incident, she said. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family, friends, and loved ones during this incredibly difficult time.
What do you think about that? Because I don't go to spas.
So I don't know why this popped in my head. And again, I have no foundation of this and I've never researched this spa. But for some reason, there's this new thing that's come about in recent time where you can go do the zero.
The cold plunge.
No, the thing where you become completely zero gravity, like the salt things where you come and they put you in a dark room and it becomes like you have zero sense around you and it's supposed to be like a meditational type thing and you float. So you can't, it's completely dark and it's supposed to be like a meditational type thing. Where
you're in the water?
You're in the water and you're buoyant.
Oh. Okay.
You're buoyant, but there's no sensory at all. So it's supposed to clear your mind and it puts you in this different state. And for some reason that came to mind because I can't imagine how else you would drown because that's the only body of water I can imagine someone being in.
And I don't think it was a cold plunge because you can only stay in that like 1 to 2 minutes.
Right. And this is like a 15-minute thing that you go in and they go in and they check on you for this purpose to make sure you're okay. Are you doing well? Do you want to get out? Whatever.
Wow.
So maybe, and again, this is speculation. I have no foundation for what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was kind of, I don't want to say disappointed, but you would have thought they would have put what she was doing to drown, what type of spa treatment.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Other than that, at a spa, I've been in like a steam room or a massage, but never that much water that I would drown.
Yeah, you're not going to drown in a steam room.
I hope not. That would be
Kelly,
my luck,
that would
though.
be kind of impossible.
I'd be like dead, naked, and freaking steamed.
So you got a lot of sweat if you drown in the steam room.
Hey, that's true.
Holy cow.
Hey everyone, Crime Wire Weekly has moved to its own new channel.
We hope you've enjoyed this preview. To continue listening, please follow the link referenced in the description of this podcast.
Or simply search Crime Wire Weekly wherever you're listening.
And don't forget to follow the show so you can be alerted when new episodes drop.
Thanks for listening.